Morning, Brian. So what is the hardest part of your job, one, this week, two, this year?
Media.
Seriously.
Look, look, I love my job. So, I get an opportunity to work with a lot of great people within this organization. Obviously the players, our coaching staff, but, obviously, also our support staff. I think, from operations with Scott Bolus to equipment with Joe Cimino to medical with Kyle Johnston and Troy, to, our doctors, obviously Chris and Brandon and Marvin and personnel and Adam Ingroff and that group. So, I don't think of any of it as look at every day as a challenge. I think, in this league, but I try to embrace it and enjoy it. And I don't really think of it as, the hardest things about, I would say the hardest part of my job is, I don't get to spend as much time with my wife and kids as I would like to, but I also try to get as much time with them as possible. And, it's the honest answer there.
Joe?
Yeah, the real honest answer is media. It's the hardest part.
I wanted to ask you if you think Gesicki has a chance to play again, but the media thing does interest me. Can you tell me a little bit more about what you think the role of the media is and all that?
Look, I think I have a lot of respect for everything you guys do. I think you guys are what's the best way to say this? You give voice from our team to our fans, and I think that's very important. And I guess I'm busting chops a little bit with Armando, but I really have an appreciation for what you guys do. I know it's not easy, and I think you guys do a great job. So, what was the other part of your question, Joe? Mike Gesicki. Look, he's working really hard. Obviously, it was a tough injury last week, so he's getting treatment. He's doing his rehab, and we'll see where it goes.
Adam?
Sorry, I keep missing the unmute button. I wanted to ask you about your time in New England, and I was curious, what was more beneficial for you there? Where did you learn more? On team building and leadership, or X's and O's? What part of that time you spent in New England was more formative for you?
I learned so much. I started in personnel. Scott Pioli hired me there as a scouting assistant. So those 4 years in personnel were, very valuable. There was a lot of guys in that department who have gone on and, done well for themselves. John Robinson, Thomas Dimitroff, Matt Russell, Marvin Allen was on the staff there when I was there. Lionel Vital. So I learned a lot from that group. Then going into coaching, working on special teams with Brad Seeley, who's just recently retired, and Scott O'Brien, who retired a few years ago as well in the kicking game. Going over to offense, working with Bill O'Brien. Going over to defense, obviously working with Bill, Matt Patricia, obviously Josh Boyer, Pat Graham. A lot of really good coaches on both sides of the ball. I would say, one of the guys who I learned, as much about coaching as anyone is Dante Scarnecchia. I know he's the O-line coach over there, but just the relationships he built with players and, how demanding he was. I think I tried to take a lot of, what he did because, he had a lot of success. And then just, team building and being around a lot of, very good players and very good coaches. And had some great experiences there.
Omar?
I know you're fond of going down memory lane, being sarcastic here. But I wanted to ask you, when you were on the scouting side of things, the time you spent with Scott, what made you want to go into coaching, or was that always the intent? And what did you learn and take from the scouting side?
I started wanting to be in personnel. And then I just wanted to make more of an impact on I felt like I could have a little bit more impact on, the game. So that was the reasoning, behind trying to get into coaching. I felt like I could, build relationships with players, and it's harder to do that on the personnel side. You just don't have as much interaction with them. So I just want to make more of an impact, and I'm not saying that there isn't an impact on the personnel side. There's just more interaction on the coaching side.
Cam?
Hey, good morning, Flo. It's getting towards the end of the year. You guys have had some success. I'm curious what your perspective is if you get questions from your assistants about wanting to interview for different jobs for different teams as we get towards the off season, whether it be coordinator or head coach or even in the personnel department. What's your view on that and how you handle those situations?
I mean, I think, if those opportunities present themselves, I think they should go for it. If it's something that they're interested in, and I'll help them any way I can. I've been on a few interviews and, can offer some advice. But we've got a lot of qualified, people on the staff, so that wouldn't shock me at all. And I would be, I would be encouraging. And look, we all have goals, and I'm not in the business of stopping people from getting the things they want. Players, coaches. That's part of the reason why they're here. But another part of the reason why they're here is because they're team first, and I think people see that. Well, hopefully people see that, and I would say that's part of the reason why, if someone were to want to interview our guys, that'd be part of it. So, and look, that's part of this business. Somebody comes calling for one of you guys, do the same thing. You'd hope that your boss would be encouraging and be helpful in that instance. I would think. I don't know. Maybe I'm different. Maybe.
Ruthie?
So I wanted to ask you, what makes Julian Edelman so dangerous, and how does the game change when he's on the field?
Julian is smart, instinctive, tough, good hands, good, run after catch, understands the game offensively and in the kicking game, and he's got a few defensive snaps under his belt too. So he's a very good player, and I think just his toughness is a competitiveness. I mean, you feel that on the field.
Adam?
How encouraged were you yesterday that you were able to get Devontae and Jakeem, and I think Flowers was back, and Van Noy and Roberts? A lot of these guys have been dealing with something. Were able to practice yesterday. How encouraged were you by how they came through it?
I was encouraged. It was good to see all those guys out there working to get back as soon as they can. But encouraged, but not surprised. I mean, I think we got a lot of guys who want to be out there, who want to be with their teammates, who want to help this team as best they can. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, we still got a few days before kickoff, and hopefully we get all those guys.
Final question, Safid?
How you doing, Flo? I wanted to ask about, your defense is obviously from the same family of defenses as the Patriots scheme. How does that help Tua, and what are some things that he needs to do to kind of fine tune his preparation for that defense on Sunday?
I mean, I think just go through his normal routine and preparation. Watching the film, doing a good job in meetings, doing a good job in walkthrough, doing a good job in practice, learning over the course of the week, getting, more familiar with the things that they do, and just try to execute. At the end of the day, that's what it boils down to, and it's not just Tua. It's the O-line, the backs, the receivers, the tight ends. You got to execute defensively. Got to execute in the kicking game. And try to put a total team effort together.